All right. It is 1:30, and you are tuned into Heart Connections with your heart coach, Adelai Brown, on your community station with international inspiration, kinetichifi.com. We're talking about love. This is a day of love. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys and to be talking about such a pressing topic. And we didn't even scratch the surface, but I wanted to get you thinking. I want your mind to get going. I want you to know some things to look for, what love isn't and what love is not. So, this segment, we've talked about what love is, we've talked about what love isn't, we've talked about the types of love. Now, I want to talk to you about living in love. I want to talk to you about living your life, focus on love and focus on what God has for you. First, I want you to think about, what do you do when you know that you're living for love, and we just read some of the passages in the last hour of Heart Talk about what love is. So what do we do now? What do we do moving forward? I want to read to you, and this segment of Heart Talk is brought to you by the new book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. You can pre-order your copy of Help Save Me. The price is going up because today is May 1st, but you can still pre-order your copy and it will be released this month. And I want to look at Matthew chapter 22 because this pretty much tells us how we are supposed to live in love. And the question was, they asked him, Teacher, talking to Jesus, Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. How do we live in love? How do we live in that unending, unfailing, all consuming power that allows us to go forward and live and do what we need to do because God in love is love? How do we do that? We love God first with all our heart and soul and mind. And by doing that, it's going to cause us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And it really means that we're going to treat people how we want to be treated. We're going to be compassionate and empathetic. We're going to allow great things to eventuate, there's our word of the day, to come about because of the behavior that we have, the mindset that we have, and we're constantly allowing our hearts to change and evolve by challenging ourselves. When you love your neighbor as you love yourself, it forces you to polish your heart. We're not going to always get this right. Going back to First Corinthians, it tells us love never fails. It tells us love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It protects it always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Those are characteristics of love. Well, we're going to miss the mark sometimes. We're not going to always do that. We're going to fail sometimes. We're not going to always be kind. There are going to be times we're going to be impatient. For some of us who don't like to admit it, sometimes you're going to be envious of things and people and circumstances and situations. Sometimes you find yourself boasting because you're a little full of yourself and not even aware. A lot of times we're not loving, we're walking in lust, we're walking in manipulation or other types of of character defects, and it's not love. And what happens is when we mess up and we realize we mess up, we start to beat ourselves down, and we don't need to do that. We need to understand that we're always going to have a need for someone in our lives to help us. We're always going to need to be polished. So I may be very kind today and not envying, but I'm still keeping a record of wrongs. I may be protecting and persevering, but I'm not trusting other people. So I need to polish up my love walk. I need to strengthen some areas that I'm weak. It doesn't mean I'm completely weak, but it does mean that I have some areas that need to be fortified so that I don't experience a breach in my heart. Because what happens when we allow people in the name of love and for the sake of love, but they don't really intend to love us, we end up getting hurt in the process. We end up finding ourselves feeling failed and feeling left out, feeling like nobody's there, nobody cares about us. And really, it's not that. The problem is we mistaken, we mistake, we mistook love for something else. And that relationship eventuated. And now we see, okay, that really wasn't love. That was lust. Okay, that really wasn't joy. It just was pain. It just hadn't kicked in yet. Okay, so when we think about living for love, we have to understand that we love others. Goes back to our quote for the day, and I'm gonna pull that quote back up because I put it down. But one of the biggest things you have to understand about love is, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so that whosoever should believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's John 3:16. And that's a very quoted scripture, but that is the epitome of what love is. He put himself in the form of a man and came in a whole nother form to come here and die for us. That's the type of love that we are anchored and rooted in. And when we love others, we are able to show that love. We are able to, when we love others and respect them, we are able to exemplify what that love is, and how that love, what that love really means. And it's a big deal. It really is a big deal. And I want to encourage you. I know some people are going through some difficult times in their lives right now. And you're like, you want me to love him, and he's not treating me right, or you want me to love these kids and all they do is disrespect me. You want me to be there for them and they're never there for me. I get it. But guess what? That's what Jesus went through. That's what he went through. And he still died for us. And therefore, we have to remember that when we're dealing with people. And I have really, really, really been going through this in my own personal life, because what's happening is I've been hurt, and people have stabbed me in the back and done things behind my back. And I've felt the menacing, just the vibes coming from people, some around me, some not. And it's like, what is going on? And God is like, listen, this is what I go through with people who I love. I died for y'all. And you constantly crucify me over and over again with your behaviors, the way you choose to view life, when you refuse to see your worth in me, when you refuse to change, when you're so focused on who you think you are than who I created you to be. You're hurting me, but I died for you anyway. And so you can't come to me because somebody hurt your feelings and think I'm gonna tell you, no, you don't have to help them. No, you don't have to be there for them. That's not the case, guys. When we are living for love, we are working on the scale that says, I'm going to give in order to receive. I'm not looking to get anything. I want to know, how much can I give? How much can I serve? How much can I invest of myself into the world around me? Because I am love. God is love, and I am made in his image. So if I am made in his image, then I am love. And so I need to project this love out in the world. Many of us do not realize that we are getting back what we are putting out. If the only people you look out for are your family members or people close to you, even bad people do that. We have to love people in and out of season. We have to be willing to go above and beyond, and be patient and be kind, and do not envy and do not boast, and not be proud. We have to be willing to honor others and not be self-seeking. We have to be willing to not be easily angered, and keep no record of wrongs with everyone. That means those in our households that we're obligated to love, and even strangers out in the street. That's what love calls for us. Because God so loved the world that he gave his son. Would you give your son for people who don't like you? I'm gonna tell you, I no. But that's what he did for us. And let me read you another quote about love to let you know, when we talk about living for love. And I'm not trying to say you're supposed to sabotage yourself and be in a difficult, toxic relationship. No, if you're in an abusive, toxic relationship, you need to get out. If the love is real, God will bring y'all back together in a more healthy environment. You're not quitting, you are being safe. I just felt like I need to say that. I want to read this passage to you. It's the Song of Solomon. This is in the Bible. A lot of people don't read this book, but it's there and it's powerful. It's so sensual. That's why a lot of people don't read it. They're uncomfortable because it's so sensual, but it's rich and you need to read it, especially if you're in a relationship. I encourage you to read this and meditate on it. The Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verses 6 and 7 says, "Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. For love is as strong as death. Jealousy is fierce as the grave. It flashes, its flashes are flashes of fire, the very flame of the Lord. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If a man offered for love all the wealth in his house, he would be utterly despised." That sums up love. There is no amount of money that could buy love. There is nothing that you can do that can satisfy you like love. God is love. You are loved. If you don't get anything else from me today, I want you to know that you are loved. You are loved by a creator who loved you so much. He sent his son to die for you. I love you. That's why I come here every day to do heart talk and listen to this great music. I'm just blessed that I can come and do something I enjoy. But even on days I don't feel like it, even on days I'm not in a good mood and I don't feel like heart talking, I do it because of love, because love never fails. And love is patient and love is kind. And even when I fail you, guess what? Love won't. And if you find yourself being failed and you find yourself being let down, I encourage you, I implore you to go back and reevaluate that thing and make sure it really is love and it's worth your time and it's worth your energy. But think about it. I want you to live with love. Remember, the greatest commandment is this: love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it: love your neighbor as yourself. That's all. That's Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39. This has been Heart Talk with your heart coach, Adelai Brown, on your community station with international inspiration, kinetichifi.com. Make sure you get your pre-order your copy of the new book being released this month, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. And we'll be back to close out shortly. In the meantime, we're talking about living for love. What better way to do that than to let the Ozzy Brothers help us with that? Living for the love of you right here, Kinetic High Five. This is going out to you, Errol and Lori. Love y'all. We'll be back to close out.